Today's January 16th. We're getting closer and closer to spring training and not fielding a team. International period started, though. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Listen, it was beautiful out today.
Oh,
beautiful.
Geez, here we go.
65, sunny.
Here we go.
Great. Bro, we're supposed to get 1 to 3 inches of snow next week. Listen, you're supposed to get it up there. I'm not down here. I moved down here to be warm all year round. It's supposed to get up to almost 70 degrees tomorrow, and on Tuesday night, we're supposed to get 1 to 3 inches of snow.
I'm bummed out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Come on, man.
What?
It's so cold up here. We got snow everywhere.
You live in Ohio.
I'm just
It's
saying.
supposed to be that.
Well,
Because those are the rules of Sticky McSnickens. That's why.
There you go.
yeah, whatever.
That's why.
Anyway, Dave says, where are you at, Jake?
I'm on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. It's suck it up, Buttercup. No, I listen. I will, but I'm also allowed to complain about it now that I live in Mississippi.
This is
South
coming.
Mississippi.
This is coming from the same guy who, when he did live up here, he never would have ever complained about snow. You just would have still. You were like, I'm not changing my plans. I'm going out in this. This ain't that bad. Nothing was ever that bad to you when you lived up here. You can't do it, man. Steel City DW GCL Jake.
And listen, and I knew where I lived. I was fine with it. I knew I understood what I was expecting. I wasn't. You don't expect this down here. I talk to most people down here. They've never seen snow a day in their life.
You have an expectation. What was that? Who is that comedian that gets mad?
Lewis Black.
Lewis Black. When he said, he heard a thunderstorm or whatever, and he said, when you look out the window, you have an expectation, and it's not snow. It's funny. He gets all mad. Anyway, hey, I guess that's kind of like, you have an expectation of the off season. No, yeah, I don't know. That's right. Doug says, he's going to tell all his workmates about the snowy times in Ohio in a couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. He going to be like, this ain't that bad. He talks one game here, but then as soon as he gets to work, he's like, this ain't that bad. You should have been up here in 96. We had a blizzard that turned into a flood.
Back in my day.
We were throwing sandbags in our bare feet.
Uphill both sides. It was funny though. I had mentioned to my boss that I have all-wheel drive and I have all-purpose tires, like all weather, all season, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
She's like, she told one of my coworkers, she's like, well, Jake has chains on his tires. What? I said, I don't have chains on my tires. What are you talking about? That's how little these people know about. So that's the other aspect of it is, even though I'm nervous about others on the road when I was up in Ohio, like I still had I didn't care about like my car. I felt like I had control of my car. It was only the people around me that I was worried about. Down here, I don't want to do nothing, man. These people, they have no idea. And they're going to go out in it. From what I've, Ashley's heard at work. She said, oh, we'll be busy because everybody just wants to go out in it and they have no idea what they're doing.
When they don't have the tires and they don't have.
Yeah, there's no like the what you call it? To treat the roads. They don't have salt. They don't have any trucks or anything like that to treat roads. So, I mean, I understand it, but put a plow on my Nissan Altima. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, but I don't know. I don't know if I can get a plow on it.
Oh man. Jake could move to Alaska. No, it's the opposite of that. No. Anyway, remember Dallas had that big ice storm or whatever? Dallas, like the city of Dallas has one salt truck, one snow plow. That's what they've budgeted for. They were like, nah, we're just going to shut it down. Just don't go anywhere. So, no, yeah. You know what? Canyon puts in the chat here, you guys going to Pirates Fest. So this actually is, we're right on the weather right now. We're just old men talking about the weather. And I might as well say the weather has basically said, I'm not going in there this weekend. I'm so sick of the snow. I'm sick of driving. I'm sick of everything. So I won't be making it back into town. Because for me, it's a 3-hour drive. And I don't feel like last year it snowed and I was like, I don't have I don't know what you call it. I don't feel like that stress headache right now.
The mental capacity.
Yeah. I don't have the mental capacity for a lot of things. So that's perfect. But yeah, let's see. Mike says, I feel like that's a driving initiation the first time you slide on icy snow. Around here it is.
Do you remember? I'm gonna go back to the last podcast we were on, right?
Okay. Oh yeah.
When we played a show in Boardman or Youngstown, somewhere up there, Ohio, and we had to drive back, and I was driving the van, pulling a trailer, and we got like a blizzard while we were playing the set, and we had no idea.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was also terrible.
Yep. Ford Aerostar pulling a trailer.
Yep. Bucko Mike saying Monday here in Ohio, 8 degrees, -3. I sent Jake the text, right? Was was you, right?
Yeah.
He said something like, look at the weather on Monday. And I was like, look at the weather on Monday.
I just sent you a screenshot with the 1 to 3 inches of snow and just said, wait, what?
Yeah. That's what it was. And I was like, well, it's negatives here. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I won't be making it. I was going to go to Pyre Fest. I had a couple tickets to go in. And then I don't know. Like I wasn't sure who was going, and we have some things here in town, and I was going to miss. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like driving. My luck is it'll snow and I'll get stuck somewhere. And I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I don't need to do it.
Yeah, I'm not making the drive either.
Bring back baseball season, man. I don't like snow. I can't wait. I can't wait to get down to Florida for spring training and be hot. And it's like extra hot. It gets up to like 75, but you're like, oh my gosh. Like, what am I going to do? The sun just won't stop. And until you sit back and you say, this is good. This is it. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's just not there. So, all right. Hey, international period. We can talk about it a little bit because, the Pirates signed some people, right? Okay. International signing period began this week. There was a couple guys, I think, that were, kind of headliners. The dude we stole from LA because they're courting Roki, and Yordani De Los Santos' little brother, who's actually the bigger one of this group, Johan De Los Santos, shortstop. All of them are shortstops, guys. So let's just wait and see. There was several outfielders, a lot of bats, not a lot of pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I don't know if that's intentional. We kind of had a conversation about it with some other guys, just like, wonder what this is about. like no arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional or you don't want to see him go into something like that, trying to sign people for, trying to sign people for a need. Like that's not a good idea to sign a 16 or 17-year-old because you need bats. But I don't know if that's it or if it's just, hey, we've had a lot of luck with our arms stateside in the amateur draft. And so we're going to focus on more bats in this and try to develop more bats in the international market. You've got a new group. You've got a new group there that's in charge of international scouting. So is there maybe some just something that they like or anything like that? But I don't want to put words in your mouth. So did anything here? Do you pay attention to this? Did anything stand out to you in like, what is it, like 25 players so far that they've signed? Because
I think that's the part that stood out to me. I thought it was the number I saw at the time was 23.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't
Couple
even,
more today.
That's a lot. I was like, I can't keep up with 23 international free agent. Like,
no, you want to know about the players, Bucks on deck, right? Hit up Anthony and Bucks on deck and those guys over there. If you want to check in, I'm pretty sure there's been some video that they've posted on some of them. So go check that out. You'll find it if you just search Bucks on deck if you're not familiar with it. But a lot of coverage there on the individual players. Like that's just not something we're going to do. This is like, hey, we've got about 10 minutes on this show to talk about this happening. And then we won't talk about these guys for another 4 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When they're, making noise, and if they're making noise in the minors, we'll talk, but
well, they got to get here in the minors. You know what I mean? So there's at least a couple of years that before they even make it, this way. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. It's just so hard to get excited about any players. The only thing I would say is like you have a team who has $6.9 million to spend in their pool for these signing bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And the highest, so Johan De Los Santos was the highest rated by all the pros. He was the number 23rd international prospect. To which is like, oh, okay, here we go. That's good. Top 25 guy. Well, there's only 30 teams, Jake. Like, you got to assume the top 25 are probably going to be picked by 25 different teams. So then my question is, if there's only like several teams that have the same amount of money of us and maybe 6 or 7 teams that have more, what are we, like, number 23? We couldn't do better than that?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. But I don't necessarily think they spread out. Like, I'm sure somebody out there had grabbed 2 out of the top 25. You know what I mean? Like it's not a draft.
Do you know that, or you're guessing?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I
don't know either. So I wasn't saying that to say like, no, it's not.
right. I'm just saying like they're not going in order, right? It's a free agent,
right?
Free agency,
right?
So you can talk and you can.
Well, but you got to imagine like if you're allotting a certain amount of money to sign a guy to, then there are guys that know what they can get because they're one of the top 25. And you're only going to throw that kind of money at one player. Now, some of the top teams, like the Pirates in their group with 6.9, and the group that the Reds and the Brewers are in that have 7.5, they might be able to throw a couple million at a couple different players. Or you could go heavy and say, hey, we only have 4 million. We're signing 2 big guys, and that's it. Which a lot of teams just won't do that. Like they're so unknown that you'd rather go quantity over quality in that case.
Yeah.
So it tends to spread out a little bit.
I'd be interested to look and see how many of these international prospects, like not on a radar, end up being really good players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, they're so young. You're talking about signing 16-year-old kids, man.
Well, I mean, for the Pirates, it's been what? The list is Luis Ortiz. Is that it? like in a long time. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like. Because there's been some other like international players that we've gotten trades and things like that. But like as far as those,
It's just me, but I was just meaning across baseball in general. Like the guys that no one was looking at that, you know what I mean? But it's so hard to track. Like this
yeah,
guy wasn't on anybody's top list and he ended up having a major league career. Like
yeah,
maybe not the best, but he was a player in the
Well,
major leagues for a while. You know what I mean?
yeah. And you look at situations like the Dodgers signed O'Neal Cruz, but way back when, and when they signed him, they were like, "This is a 6'1" shortstop," and then all of a sudden, I think he was 6'1" when they signed him, and then he just turned into a completely different player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden he's 6'7", and they're like, "This ain't gonna last. We're gonna trade him." But I don't know. Doug says we signed one guy for $2 million, one guy for $40K, panning for gold. So yeah, and actually, I mean, like, you know, one guy for I forget what De Los Santos was. It was like 2 point something low, and then 1.8 for Darrell Morel. Which, by the way, that's the pronunciation I'm going with till somebody tells me otherwise. I like that. I like Darrell Morel. Anyway, we'll see. Like we said, 4 or 5 years later, we'll be talking about whether we're excited about some of these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
However, you have to acquire talent when it's like, yeah, at all stages. So these are important. We just won't notice that importance. The draft is important, whatever that happens. Trades are important. Free agents are important, for crying out loud.
Apparently they're not.
If you only paid attention to the Pirates, you'd be like, no. I mean, anybody they sign at this point is dumpster diving, right?
No.
But that's what people are going like. Anybody they sign right now. I just saw the report.
One of the big names.
But I just saw the report. This is the difference, right? We've had conversations about Randall Grichuk. And we said, okay, I can see that. You know, we're kind of like warming up. I saw Doug says, what's a free agent? I saw the Giants post saying the Giants were having a meeting with Randall Grichuk or whatever. And like the third comment was dumpster diving. It's just, so like if you're not Juan Soto, we're getting you from the dumpster then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a handful of players still out there that could drastically help this team.
Yeah.
And you see these numbers that get floated around, and I don't want to misread Ethan's tweet, but I'm pretty sure we're about 10 million less on payroll right now than we were last year.
And only two guys.
We got to spend some money.
And only 2 guys going to arbitration too, with very little difference. So I don't see it changing much more than that. Yeah, that's a great point. Mike says Jesse Winker off the board, back to the Mets for $9 million.
Yeah,
that's like,
I don't know what numbers we're throwing at people. If 9 million is getting the job done right at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just confused, man. I'm confused at this. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Jesse Winker makes more of an impact on the Pirates than he will on the Mets. As far as impact, as far as difference, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winker, I don't know that we were ever linked there. I know somebody made somebody had it out there and had a prediction that the Pirates would sign Winker, but I don't know that there was any reports out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter. He's an outfielder. He's an outfielder, a corner outfielder that would have helped this team against right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that's an important miss, even though we don't really know if it was a miss because we don't know if they were trying. There might have been some other things they didn't like. I mean, you know what I mean? They do their homework more than we do, but we're looking at it. But like essentially, we're kind of at the place right now where we thought if they were going to acquire 2 guys to be a platoon in right field, that they probably would just get involved with Jerickson Profar a little bit.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, if we know they're not, then the guess is, Jake, is they're going to sign one of these guys. One side of a platoon is going to be acquired. And if it's Randall Grichuk, my biggest fear is that they Connor Joe this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you end up giving him an everyday job to play right field, and he ends up being Connor Joe and putting up completely different numbers than what we've seen from him when he is a platoon bat. And the other piece to this is that I'd like to say is that there are strengths. There's a big strength in platoons. Because I think sometimes we use the word platoon player, or we use platoons in general as like a negative thing. And I don't really think that's the case. Like if you go out there and you put a platoon together, you can end up with like a 4 or 5 WAR player by giving 2 guys their strength. You know what I'm saying? Now, sure, it took 2 roster spots to make it happen, but that's just being a good manager or GM or whatever, right? It's not hard to platoon. So it's, you know what I mean? But still, there's matchups, there's play guys at their strengths, and you're managing a game, whether it's coming from whatever position. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not projecting that we will handle it, right? But the point is that putting a platoon together is not a bad thing.
Right.
And if you don't believe, because there's 2 switch hitters out there right now, Jake. There's Tony Santander. What does he say? What was he calling him? Ryan Ripken.
Tony Taters.
Tony Taters. There's Anthony Santander, who's a switch hitter, and there's Jerickson Profar, who's a switch hitter. And you could reasonably say these guys are worth every day. They'll play every day. They'll get their, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter right or left, whatever. These are our guys. And if you're saying like, okay, if I put all my chips into one guy and he fails, I'm out. But if you do try the platoon and spend probably, at least when you're thinking Santander, maybe somewhere in between the 2, you could probably get, Winker's $9 million. If you could get 2 guys for $9 million, you're right in between those 2 players. And you've spent $18 million on the position. And if one of them fails, you might be able to recover from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say you sign a right-handed platoon player who can mash lefties, and I'm not going to say a name because of the next sentence I'm going to say, and that guy gets hurt 2 weeks into the season. Then you can say like, well, we'll give Billy Cook a chance. We'll give Nick York a chance. We'll give Jared Triolo a chance in the outfield. We'll give somebody a chance.
Yeah.
And if it's the other side, if you get a lefty who can just handle right-handed pitching but doesn't ever want to be in the box against the lefty, and he fails, well, you've got Palacios. You'll give him a chance. You'll give Jack Swinsky a chance again. They just signed DJ Stewart. Is he a lefty? I think he's a left-handed hitter.
I have no idea.
So, and that's a minor league deal. By the way, that's a minor league deal. That's not who cares?
Right.
If he works out, good problem. If not, good. He's depth. He's in the minors. It doesn't matter. That's not a solution. That's not a guy that you're looking for a solution from. That's a wild card.
I hope not.
No, that's a wild card.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, platoon could be like a smart move in a way. You know what I'm saying? Not just not just like we can't afford a full-time player, so we do this. Well, no, you're going to spend around the same money on 2 players if you're doing it. Now, maybe not. Maybe you're going to use a guy that's already on the roster, like Cook or any of the lefties or the 2 lefties. But that's all I'm saying. Like, platoons are not a bad thing.
No, when utilized correctly, they're a good thing, and they help your team to win. So anything that's going to help my team to win, I'm a fan of.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say anything, but you know how I feel about pitching.
Sherrod says, I think Ben Cherington believes too much in Jack, that he will not block him with a free agent. What do you think of that?
I mean, so Jack's one of the ones that I think believe is the correct term here. I have high hopes. Like, I hope he comes out and mashes and wins a spot. Like, I like Jack a lot. I want him to win a spot, but at the same time, I want him to win it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want this to be like, all right, Jack, we're believing in you. Like, you're our guy.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ride or die. Like, I don't want that. I want him to mash and force his way onto the roster.
Yeah, you want him to earn it. You don't want it to be that. I don't know.
I don't want to depend on it.
I don't know if that's a Cherington thing or not. Like, I don't know if that's where he's at. I definitely can see why you would think that. It feels that way. If they go with Grichuk, who, like I said, of all the players in a vacuum, might be the best of the players that they've been linked to. It's like, if you think of like Grichuk or Austin Hayes, you probably think Grichuk, a little more of a veteran, feel like he's going to be able to handle his spot a little bit better. And maybe better than Verdugo because he can add a little bit of pop from his side of the plate. I don't really know. If they can get him, maybe that's the guy they get and they do have to rely on Jack, then it would look that way. Oh, you could have got Verdugo. But then again, nobody likes Verdugo either. I think some people are warming up to the idea after they look into him. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just sit back and scratch my head sometimes.
Doug Smith said Casey Stengel went heaving on platooning. He did okay. I'm not going to lie, man. I think I know what that means. But yes, he did okay. And yes, that's true. I mean, it's a smart move. That's all I'm saying is, like, I don't think it's a cop out. I don't think it's a Pirates thing to do.
No.
To employ a platoon. It's smart. So heavy. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah. I was like, man, I just don't know. Thank you, man. Every once in a while, I don't want you guys to delete your messages because then it's hard for me to keep track of them. So I don't want you to have to delete every time you it's just, remember that mental capacity thing we talked about earlier? Yeah. I think we're just falling in a line here. That's all. So, Mike asks, do you think with the crowded outfield of the Mets, since they're willing to eat some money for Marte in a trade, we could see a reunion? You catch that?
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I would say not. I mean, when we look at what we have in the outfield, we talked about this, I think last week when we were just looking at the number of players outfielders that we were possibly going to have. And you just start to find it hard to put everybody there. Marte would take that spot of a Randall Grichuk. And I don't know that he really gives you the upside of that. And if you brought Marte in, is he a platoon guy? Like, is he, you know what I mean? Does he offer the same kind of platoon splits, or is he pretty even at this point in his career? I don't really know. I don't think so. I think if they go the trade route, I think they'll go. I don't think the money is something that they're going to be scared of. Personally.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he's making, but that's just kind of how I see it. I'm going to make my way through the chat right here. Doug says they must feel very strong about our pitching. I believe they do. I think they feel very strong about it.
As they should.
Yeah. And with marginal hitting improvement, Saber kids say maybe we break 500. Yeah, I mean, if you see marginal improvement across the board, I think it's safe to say, and we name these same names every time, right? I think it's safe to say that O'Neal Cruz should take a step forward, and Nick Gonzalez should take a step forward, and Spencer Horwitz should take a step forward, and some of that catching group should take a step forward. There's only forward for Henry Davis.
Yeah.
There is no behind.
Right.
So there's only forward to go. But if Joey Bart's good, if he continues to hit pretty well, and they get another, whether it's Endy or Henry, that can contribute there from that group of catchers, then I think that it's safe to say there will be improvements. Right field, though, is a position of need. Now, you could get improvements, but it's just not. You can count on, you can rely on Nick Gonzalez to be an average to slightly above average hitter. You can count on that. He's hit everywhere. You can count on O'Neal Cruz after finally getting a full season in the major leagues. You can count on him improving a little bit and getting better. Now, let me say this with a condition. 2024, you could have counted. You were counting on, rightfully so, Jack Sawinski to take a step forward. And that was a legitimate thing to say was, okay, Jack Sawinski should take a step forward this year. And he didn't. He went the other way. So that also could happen anywhere here. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Marte would be a platoon player. Bucko Mike puts in here. Versus lefties, 310 average, 844 OPS. Versus righties, 251, 669. So, yeah, much better against lefties. I don't see it happening, but it is there. They could.
Yeah, the thing about the reunion thing is Ben Cherington, I don't know that he cares about a reunion.
Oh, he doesn't care one bit. He would rather reunite with players that he coached or that he was involved with in Toronto.
Yeah.
Seems like that's the only, they got another pitcher this week. Brett DeGuss, I think is how you say it. From Toronto.
He'll get cut.
Yeah, if he doesn't have any options, he'll at least go through waivers.
Yeah.
But Sherrod says the platoon in right field is probably better on this roster. Or is probably on this. Oh, the platoon in right field is probably on this roster. Okay. Yeah, I think no matter what, they will acquire somebody for right field. Without question. I can't, in my head, what you said, hey, they're way behind. They've got money. They've got the flexibility at this point. They've already said they'll be around 100 million. They didn't come, that's not, I don't think I heard them say that, but it's pretty, widely known and accepted that they're going to be close. The question is, does that happen because they've extended somebody and then added a bunch? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this was, Ethan posted this on the 14th. Said payroll last season was roughly 87 and then a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
Currently, he's projecting the opening day at 77.
Yeah.
We have money to spend.
Right. And so, that probably 10 million of that is going to right field. I think it's pretty safe. Winker was 9 million.
Yeah.
If Verdugo signs, it's going to be 10 million or close. Maybe they get a little bit less than that. Grichuk's going to be around there, 8 to 10 million, right? I don't know what the projections are on those. Do we have those? I think we've got the free agents here. Do they have projections? No, that's Fangraphs that has the projections, don't they? So let's just look at unsigned and batters. Just to get it easy, right? What I say? Grichuk. We're looking at Grichuk here. Grichuk does not have a projection. This is perfect. I'm glad I brought this up so that I could get no answers. Who else have we said? We said
Verdugo.
Verdugo has 8 million as his projection. Okay.
Profar.
Well, Profar 15 million.
Still, that's not that much.
No, it's not. But I think that that's 3 years 45, and I think that it's been he's asking for 3 years 50. So it's going to be a little bit more than that. It goes up a little bit more than that. I think that's what he's asking right now. We'll see how that changes. Austin Hayes is going to be much less than that. He doesn't even have a projection on here. So, yeah, I mean, Bucko Mike says Grichuk probably $7 million. So, I mean, you're somewhere around there. It's probably not. So maybe it won't get all the way up to $10 million there, but you're getting close, right? And maybe if there are a couple teams involved, Grichuk right now, like we talked about the Giants. I mean, if there is a little bit of a, hey, I might sign over here instead, I could see it getting up to $10 million. If it does, they probably won't be signing the other side of that.
Right.
If it's a trade, if it's Ward from LA, from the Angels, I think he got like $9 million in arbitration, or they already, like, he didn't go to arbitration. They signed.
They settled, yeah.
And so I think it's somewhere around 8 or 9. So like there's going to be around there. And then, who are they going to talk to about an extension? That's something we'll talk about here as spring training approaches and that, they get into extension season.
I tell you, it might be difficult to sign somebody to an extension right now. I mean, they're not adding to the roster. Why would anybody want to stay?
All right. So, I mean, you hear the players. You hear how they talk.
I know.
Some of that is probably put on. Some of that is probably something that they've asked for. But the players on this team, they believe this team can be good.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think if they were real, they would know that they're, a player or two off. But I also think, like, when they look around in that locker room, they like what they see.
Yeah. They believe in their guys.
They believe in their guys. So I don't think that that's true. I'll also say this. Somebody puts money in front of you when you're still, like, you still got years to go before you get to free agency.
Yeah.
You might not ever get there in this game. And if you're young enough and you can just have maybe a year or two of that taken from you, I think there's a lot of players. I think you're kind of silly not to.
Yeah.
Case in point, Gregory Polanco was a can't miss.
Yeah.
He was a can't miss, Jake. The dream outfield. They let Austin Meadows go because they're like, we're good. We got 3 center field. Yeah, they called him a center fielder, Jake.
Yeah.
None of that is guaranteed. You could sit here and act like, well, we're still going to get 3 years of O'Neal Cruz hitting 30 plus homers. But you might not get any of them. Or you might get one, but everything else is so bad that it kind of gets outshined. And then he hits free agency and it's just not the same as what he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right? So you could change a lot of things about your life, about your family's life. Any of these contracts changes your family for generations. If you think about, specifically like some of these international players, like they've already gotten a signing bonus that was huge.
Yeah.
Right? But you hear the stories all the time, like, oh, I called my mom. And like, even like here, you know what I'm saying? They don't have, who was it just recently I saw? Was it Brady Singer? I don't remember who it was. But like, he calls his parents and say, you have no debt anymore. I just paid it all off.
Yeah, I think it was Brady Singer.
You know what I mean? And so there's like different things like that. But like, Dave White says the Austin Meadows story is sad. So let's even go to Austin Meadows. Like, we let Austin Meadows go, which was crazy. But then Austin Meadows, what did his career? Is he done? Is he still out there? Like, I know his brother's still playing.
He's done.
So I mean, none of this is guaranteed. That if somebody approaches you, Jake, let's talk Key Brian Hayes.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of money still coming to him. Now, I will say this all the time. Like, he's very affordable. It's not like the Pirates are drowning because of that contract. He makes what an average major league player would. I mean, we're sitting here talking about signing a platoon player for $8 million. Ke'Bryan Hayes, which is, you can call him a platoon player. He platoons with the field in the injured list, but like $7 million. If Ke'Bryan Hayes comes out and plays 130 games for the Pirates next year, and he's at least league average at the plate and as good as he is defensively, he's outpacing that contract.
Yeah.
Just by playing 130 games and playing defense. And like I said, being league average at the plate. He doesn't have to blow me away. He doesn't have to hit 20 home runs. Give me 100 OPS plus. And I'll say you've made your $7 million as a major leaguer. Without question.
Yeah.
Now, when it was 10, or you know what I'm saying? When it was 10, that was a lot because it was not today's market. It was a couple of years ago. But the thing is that's even a tough, because I just said he had to play 130 games. I just said he had to bat league average. Those things are things that he's still going to have to do.
Right.
And so you look at that contract and you can say, these players got all of the signs right in front of them. That if they approach O'Neal Cruz and say, all we're asking for is 2 years of your free agency, O'Neal Cruz is a guy who could be extended before he goes out and hits 40 homers. And it's a risk, and that's the thing they're scared of. But that's the thing you kind of have to do.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I was really joking.
Yeah,
joking
but
about that, but
it's a real question. You're not the, you know what I'm saying? It's worth addressing. It's worth talking about. And when you look at stuff like that and you say, yeah, there actually are players here. I mean, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, with every fiber in your being, that they will approach Paul Skeens at spring training this year about a contract extension. You know they will.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. Now, that may never get done. They may not even be in the same ballpark.
Right.
But they'll approach him and they'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And if that contract gets signed, well, it's going to be, you know what I mean? He's going to, it won't be 10 million right now, but I mean, there's a piece of you that kind of hopes it is. Pay him now so that you don't have an absurd amount of money to pay him later on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's in your best interest, because you know you can't let him go to free agency. So however long that extension is, you're going to trade him 2 years before it's over or 1 year before it's over.
Yeah.
So would you rather trade a guy that when a team's looking at that saying, man, he's even affordable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can get Paul Skeens for that money. Yeah, I'll give you all my prospects, right? So you got to make sure that those last 2 years are affordable for someone else to acquire.
Right. Yeah.
So pay him now. Like, just balance it.
If they
don't
get a
let
job
it
done, it will be.
Yeah, don't let it like increase over time. Flatten that thing out and just pay him. You know he's worth every dollar right now.
Every dollar.
I don't know if they're ever, like I said, I don't know if they're ever gonna get that deal done, but they'll approach it, and they always approach 2 or 3 guys. So we can think about that for a while and have our speculation. I know I've already named 2 guys that I think they'll approach, but there might be another one. We don't have to go over it now, but Dave says they're going to have to eat Hayes' contract. I mean, the thing is, like I said, they don't really. It's not that bad.
Right. And it's one
they front-loaded it. They front-loaded the contract so that it wouldn't be... Oh. Hold on. So that it wouldn't be that bad. I'm just going to go up to it. $7 million again this year. After last year, it was $7 million. The first 2 years, it was 10. And then it's 7 this year, 7 next year, 7 in 27. It goes up, though, to 8 and 8. Through his prime seasons, he's going to make less than, prime if he makes it that far health-wise. And here's, just for clarification, I hope he does.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not writing him off as a fan. We got him, so you may as well keep him around. And then it goes to, see, Mike says, I'm one of the few Pirate fans that still believes in Hayes. So there are guys out there that, like you, who believe in the player. I mean, the defense, the floor is there if he can stay on the field. Ability-wise, the floor is there. The problem is the availability. That's the problem with Hayes. Everything else, I'm fine with. I still think he's a good player. He just has to be on the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has to be healthy. But then in 2030, at 33 years old, he goes to $12 million with a $6 million buyout. So you might as well consider that $6 million. Or he's traded.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, there's plenty of time. There is no rush to trade a guy who's only making $7 million for the next 3 years. I think it's in the Pirates' best interest to let this guy figure it out. And if he doesn't, then we'll worry about it. But I don't think you're in a hurry. It's not like Jared Triolo did so well that he's forcing you to make a move.
Yeah.
I got a visitor. Anyway, Max. Yeah, he's still talking. Dad? Does that? Okay. He was supposed to be looking for something. I'm guessing he was asking me about it. Anyway. Yeah, I whatever happens with Hayes, I think you got time on it. I don't think it's crazy. And I know that there's the rumors out there right now that he asked for a trade. Those have been crushed. That's not true. A couple of different people have come out and said that's not a thing. Mike actually talks about it. Speaking of Hayes, Michael Kay is throwing out rumors of him going to the Yankees. Yeah, there was, MLB scoops or whatever. If you guys are following that account, just turn it off. It's just not. It's not real.
It's not accurate.
So anyway, it's been crushed. That didn't happen. So whatever. All right. Well, we already talked about Winker. Talk about some other guys that are gone. Roansy Contreras DFA'd again. Rough go, man. It's another good example. Like, that was a guy that somebody might have actually been willing to extend.
Yeah.
Should also be kind of wild. So I'll ask you one more thing before we get out of here, Jake.
All right.
The Yankees are willing to pay down Marcus Stroman's contract in order to trade him. Would you?
Like, would I trade for him?
Yeah. Would you acquire Marcus Stroman at all?
I mean, I would consider it, but I don't know where he really fits into what we're doing.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't care. The other thing is I don't care about the money.
Well, I mean, I do, because I don't know what he's making.
Yeah, let me find that out. It might be a lot. But while I'm looking it up.
But yeah, I mean, it depends on what that is, and I'm also just kind of looking up what he's
done.
I mean, he had a 4.31 ERA last year.
In Yankee Stadium.
2 years, $37 million. So only got a year left.
Yeah, and it is the option is contingent upon did he hit that option? Because it was contingent on 140 innings in 24.
He had 154.2.
Okay, so he's got an option for 18 million. He's making 18 and a half. So like that's a lot.
He is good, man. I mean, just 2023
with the Cubs.
He bumped his ERA up to 3.95.
So he'll be
from 350
34.
the year before.
Yeah, he'll be 34 and he'll make 18 and a half. Now, the trick of this is they're willing to pay some of it down. If you can get him for 12 million, the problem is the lower you have to pay, the better prospect you're sending.
Right.
Or the better player. So, I mean, what if it's Key? what if Michael K ends up being right?
I wouldn't trade Key for him.
So so anyway,
I think I'd just to be out on him. I would have been in on him had we tried to sign him last year.
Yeah, he went down to 18 after having those 2 years with the Cubs, he made $25 million each.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I would bet that the Pirates, much like it was said here earlier, who was it that said that about the confidence in the pitching staff? I can never find Doug Smith. The fact that they do have that type of confidence in this staff makes me think that this type of move. Well, I think Bubba Chandler has a chance to Jared Jones's thing and be on the rotation at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And the other thing about Stroman that I would bring up is, as much as I root for the little guys, it does not go well late in a career when you're 5'7".
Yeah.
As a pitcher.
But is this a 1-year deal though, Jake?
True.
I don't know what the buyout is on that option for 26 at 35 years old, so I'm not sure if there's...
he's a free agent. I mean, according to Baseball Reference, he's a free agent in 2026.
But it says that the $18 million player option is contingent. So earliest is they decline the option and he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, that's risky. You might be on the hook for $18 million that
they're going to pay. Well, they could pay down some money for both years. They could get you down to 15 both years. You know what I'm saying? The Yankees can still owe money to him in 26 as well.
Yeah.
So, that's all I'm saying. I don't know. If it can be a 1-year deal and you can just decline an option, pay him a couple million to go back to free agency, then as far as like being stuck, I'm okay with it. Yeah. I'm just not sure that I don't like Bubba Chandler's chances more than his.
Yeah.
But I probably don't like Bailey Falter's chances more than his. So maybe Bubba pushes Bailey at that point. And then you have your lefty in the pen that they won't sign. All right. Well, we tried to avoid just like honing in on right field and speculating on who it's going to be. I assume that if there was a move made while we were in here, somebody would have said something.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up here. Jake, I will let me ask you one more thing. Because we talked about this. We pay attention to the top 10 right now. MLB Network's going through their top 10 right now. Mm-hmm. We talked about Cruz hitting the center field mark. No relievers. No relievers, no catchers. This week, Paul Skeens gets number 4 on the list of the starting pitchers. Number 4. So it went Zach Wheeler, Tarek Skubal. I always put an R in Skubal. Chris Sale, Paul Skeens, Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, Cole Raggins was probably the surprise for me. Garrett Cole, Logan Webb, Framber Valdez. That's your 1 through 10 top pitchers right now. So, Skeens number 4. Do you feel like this is like a really cool thing for him to land there already, or kind of expected with what, how the season ended and wrapped up? What do you think?
So I think it's cool because the Shredder usually takes in the past 3 years, which him and Jackson Merrill made, number 2 in center field. I think it's cool for both of those guys to land that high on these lists after 1 year. But at the same time, I'm looking at like, you're putting Chris Sale above Paul Skeens.
Oh,
Like, he hasn't been that good for quite some time, and they had a resurgent year last year. I was kind of surprised to see that. I mean, if I just took these 10,
yeah.
not bringing anybody else in, I'm not
Okay.
doing all that.
That's fair.
But just these 10, I could probably just straight up flip-flop Reagan's, or not Reagan's, I'm sorry, I'm reading and doing things at the same time. I'd probably flip Sale and Cole and be okay with that. Be more okay with that list.
Garrett Cole. Put Garrett Cole in
believe
3. He's number 8.
I can't believe he's 8.
Yeah, that is a surprise to me. You know, if Blake Snell didn't sign with the Dodgers, they would not have somebody on this list. Couple of free agents there, though. Couple of free agents there on new teams this year. Cole Ragan's the guy that the Royals got for Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
You feel any regret that we didn't move? I mean, we couldn't have moved him and got somebody back like that. The whole thing with Chapman being traded for something that good was the fact that he didn't sign for $10.5 million. He was very affordable for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Us signing him would have been like, well, you know, we're taking on some money here.
Yeah.
It would have been a little bit different. Anyway. What else was done? Second base, and there was one more, I thought. Maybe that's it.
Third base.
Oh, third base. So obviously third base didn't happen.
Yeah.
Second base didn't happen either. I guess you could say obviously. He's not going to be a top 10 second baseman for sure. He's not even a league average hitter. He has some things he does well. So second base, though, is that a list you think Nick Gonzalez could crack into next year? Your bottom is Gleyber Torres, Andres Jimenez, you can't hit, but he's a fantastic fielder. Nico Horner, Brandon Lowe, Tyler Fitzgerald, Jazz Chisholm Jr. So, I mean, like, Brendan Donovan, Marcus Semien, Jose Altuve is still number 2. Ketel Marte is number 1, which I wouldn't. Ketel Marte is a good player. But, like, when you just look at the player and you don't think about anybody else, you're thinking, well, he's not going to be a number 1 guy. He's probably a top 10 guy. But, like, that's where second base is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's how I viewed Marte. As
a number 1 guy?
I would say he's like anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4. Like, I wouldn't drop him any lower than that.
Yeah,
he's a stud.
I probably would have given him, I probably would have assumed a top 10 or top 5. I mean, I don't know that I would have thought there's,
I've liked him for a while.
Okay.
I think he's a really good player.
Okay. Ozzy Albies not on this list. He'll crack back into it after he figures out this injury thing a little bit. There's some guys that are going to make this list.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as Nicky G goes, I think he has the capability. It's just whether he takes that step forward or not. It's up to him. I think he's got it in the tank.
So Bucko Mike clarifies this one thing that we were talking about here. Thanks for this. Stroman's option becomes a player option. And he did pitch above 140 innings in 24. That does say 24, not 25. That says 18 million player option. Option contingent upon 140 innings pitched in 2024. So that's a player option. So you will be stuck with that player. Yeah. If he doesn't do well, he will pick up that 18 million or whatever you have to pay. But he will pick that up. So yeah.
Ketel Marte, 292 with 35 jacks.
Oh.
Last year.
I don't think I realized the homers were that high. Okay. What's that, Shaq meme? I was going to say. No, it says 36 home runs. No, he hit 36 last year, 25 and 23. Last year, he hit 36 home runs.
155 OPS plus.
Yeah. All right, Ketel Marte. All right. It's 25 on Stroman. That's not what the that's not what the page says. So Baseball Reference says 2024.
Maybe he has another team option now for 26 or another player option coming up. So
Yeah.
it's each year, maybe.
It might. Well, no. I mean, this still says 24 though. For 26. So maybe it's. It could be wrong. I mean, I don't really rely on Baseball Reference for that stuff, but it usually gets it right. So, all right, we got to get out of here. It's been our time.
A week since you looked at me.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day.
So,
if you want to,
go
ahead and
wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Brought a fruit punch to drink, and it's not a twist off.
So you didn't open it?
Did not.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.